I see them all the time.
Yes. It's your synchronistic markers.
What do they mean?
They let you know when you are in the appropriate vibration of your true self. They're like road signs, a road map.
Okay.
You're using them as markers to let yourself know you are still on the vibrational path that you prefer to be on at that moment. At that moment. Thus, then, the idea is that whatever the vibration feels like at that moment, that's the vibration to explore. That's where the information lies that you need. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Does that answer your question? It's not a big mystery, you know.
To a degree.
Yes.
So after I started listening to your videos,
yes.
Connecting more to my higher self,
yes.
Listening more,
yes.
How can I connect more to that physically?
Well, are you following the entire formula for acting on your highest joy?
I am, until I have that arrow in the unexpected direction.
Then why isn't that included in the definition of your joy? Why is that made to be an exception?
It's not that it's an exception, it's just that it throws me off.
So what?
You're right. So what?
Isn't that part of the idea of having surprises in life? You don't want your life to be boring, right?
Definitely not.
Well, then welcome the unexpected direction changes. That's what it's all about. Yes?
Yes.
Well, then include it in the definition of your joy. Because you are making it an exception, or it wouldn't throw you off. You would recognize it as a change of direction that serves you. You wouldn't have a question about it at all if you weren't defining it in some way as something different from your joy. You're saying it doesn't belong there somehow. But it does.
Okay. It's just that when I'm led by my emotions,
yes,
it throws me off, and then
but your emotions are there to get in touch with what beliefs generate them. Remember, belief comes first. You cannot have an emotion without believing something to be true first. So if you're having a certain emotion, it's telling you you have a belief that generated this. If you don't prefer the feeling and you don't prefer the belief, find out what you would have to believe is true about yourself in that circumstance in order to generate that feeling. Then change that belief if you don't prefer it.
Okay.
So use the emotion to find out what the belief is.
Okay, I've been working on that.
Well, all right. Then how long will you continue to work on it as opposed to simply using it?
I have used it.
Now and then, yes, but obviously there are times when you don't, or we wouldn't be having this conversation.
You're right.
I know, that's why I said it. So it's only about the times you don't do that that we're focused on, yes?
Yes.
So find out why you're making a difference between the times you use it and the times you don't. Because that's the only reason you don't use it all the time, is because in your definitional belief system, you're making a difference between this situation and that situation.
Okay. Manifestation.
Manifestation is simply the recognition, the ability to see, the ability to perceive what was heretofore invisible to you, but has always been here.
Yes.
And so?
And so I visualize.
Yes. And?
To become that frequency.
And
it doesn't always happen.
Congratulations! Remember when I asked you if you were using the entire formula of excitement? You said yes,
right.
But you just said no.
Okay.
Do you remember the entire formula? This goes for visualization as well. Would you like us to repeat it?
Yes.
Is everyone paying attention? Yes. Act on your highest excitement every moment that you can to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
With zero assumption, insistence, or expectation as to what the outcome ought to be. Zero.
How do you let go of those expectations?
I'll tell you, thank you. You let go of the expectations by understanding that whatever your physical mind is capable of expecting or whatever your physical mind is capable of visualizing as an outcome falls way short of what your higher mind could actually bring to you. So when you understand that by simply adhering and insisting on the physical mind's interpretation that you're actually limiting the outcome, maybe then you'll stop doing that.
I'll keep telling myself that.
When you believe it, things will change.
I believe it.
Then things will change. Not because you need them to. Remember, you have to decide to be happy for its own sake. You can't decide to be happy because you'll get this if you do. That's called expecting an outcome. That's called putting a condition on it. You're happy because that's the state you prefer, and you don't care what happens. Because whatever happens, by definition, when you're in a positive state, must still serve you in a positive way. So it doesn't matter what happens. Because you understand that the true proof of change is not that the outside world changes. The true proof of change is that you respond differently even if the outside world stays the same. That's how you prove you've changed. And when you prove you have changed, then the outside world knows it's true and will reflect the change. But if you change in order to get the outside effect, you haven't changed because you're still doing it externally instead of internally. And therefore, if you're still doing it with the condition that if you change, the outside must change, the outside reflection knows you haven't changed, and therefore it doesn't.
Okay, can you recap? Just to the part where you're saying that you have to change for yourself and not for the expectation.
There is no other reason to be happy other than that's the state you prefer.
Okay.
Don't create any other reason.
Okay.
And when you don't create other reasons, then everything that is reflective of that happiness will appear in your life. But not because you need it to, because you don't care, because you have simply chosen to be happy for no other reason than that's what you prefer.
Okay,
It's again like the idea of looking in a mirror and seeing your reflection frown. If you sit there and go, I will smile when you smile first, you're going to be standing there for a long, long, long time. But if you say to the reflection, you know what, I don't care if you smile back, I'm going to smile because that's what I prefer. Well, then what happens in the reflection? It smiles back because it doesn't have a choice but to reflect what you truly are for its own sake. Not because you need the reflection to smile back, just because you feel like smiling. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, lucidity and dreams.
Dreams.
Yes, dreams.
What about them?
Okay, is there a permission slip to gain more lucidity into my dreams?
Absolutely.
Tell me.
Well, there are many ways to go about it. One technology permission slip that has now been invented on your planet is what is called an REM mask. You wear it while you're sleeping. It generates a flash of light in such a way as to remind you, because the light enters the dream, and the light reminds you that you're dreaming. So then, if you allow yourself to remember that that's what the light means, you'll wake up in the dream. You'll be lucid. And at that moment, you can actually send a signal back to the mask to stop flashing so it doesn't interrupt you. So, look it up. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one more. Now one more. Okay, can you tell me about the energy centers in the chakras?
Yes, I can, but not now.
Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Hello, Bashar.
And a you good day.
So earlier this year, I had the experience where I was laying in my bed.
Oh, how exciting.
And feeling like there was a distinct presence at the foot of my bed.
A distinct presence.
That was sort of swaying me back and forth to where I was sort of being pulled out of my body. That's what it felt like. And that's when my mind started traveling to other places and I was experiencing other things.
All right. Well, so far this all sounds pretty normal.
And every time I would come back into my body, I'd go back out again. But the last time it felt like I was being pinned down.
Yes.
And that became very scary for me.
Oh,
so I
all
tried
right.
to wake myself up.
Yes.
Can you help me understand what?
Well, there are
that's
many
about?
things that can be going on there. If you are in that sense, actually allowing yourself to shift out into other dimensions, sometimes the idea is that when you want to stop doing that, you have to throw a switch in the amygdala of your brain to paralyze your body. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because then you are, in some senses, forcing yourself to remain in one particular modality, one particular frequency. Now, there are beings that know how to do this when taking you from one dimension to another, and it can feel like you're being pinned down, so to speak. But it's really just flipping a switch in your amygdala. And this is what happens for most people on your planet also when you dream. Because if that switch didn't paralyze you, you would act out your dreams. This is what happens with sleepwalking. The amygdala switch hasn't gone on. You understand?
I do.
So, there can be many different kinds of experiences you may be having that can trip that switch or give you that paralytic or pinned down feeling.
Okay.
Sometimes it's actually important to do that when transferring from one dimension to another so that the particular frequency you are at when you are frozen, so to speak, will remain the frequency that you're at so that it can be more precisely calibrated what dimension you're going to, instead of simply randomly flying off and finding yourself you know not where.
Okay. Is there anything to be afraid of? 'Cause
No.
It brings up a lot of fear for me.
No. The only thing you are feeling is the idea that when that happens, again, going back to the survival instinct component of your physical mind, it's going into the idea of survival instinct. It's going into fight or flight mode. It's going into the idea that it's being annihilated, that it's being controlled in that sense. You understand?
Yes.
But there is really nothing to fear.
Okay.
Again, remember, anything you will ever discover in the unknown is just more of you.
Right.
Even if you are dealing sometimes with what you would consider to be other entities, other beings, more often than not, those other beings, those other entities are just other versions of you in a different reality. And you're interacting with yourself. So perhaps if you feel that, the way to dispel it would be to say, howdy there. I recognize you. You understand?
I do.
And have a little fun with it. Play with it a little bit and see if that will help you feel a little bit more relaxed. And a little bit more fluid. And a little bit more flexible. And a little bit more in control. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help you?
It does.
And?
I have one more question.
I know.
So in the process of detoxifying the body,
Yes.
I find that many people I help, there's a synthetic sort of orange kind of sulfur residue in the body that sometimes comes from different ant drugs.
Yes.
Do you have any suggestions for how to move this out? Because it's really hard.
What form of detoxification are you utilizing?
Raw foods and herbs.
All right. There's a number of places that have extremely powerful detoxification programs and regimens. We have suggested one that we guided the channel to discover to answer these kinds of questions. Is that what you have been using?
Yes.
All right. And you find that the residue remains?
Yes.
Have you done the full-length detoxification?
Yes, even with people who've been doing it for a long time.
Have you done the Incurables program?
I feel like I'm doing something very similar to the Incurables program.
Such as?
A similar line as American Botanicals, very comprehensive
All right.
line of herbal formulas.
In what way are you still detecting the compound in the body?
The iris reading.
All right. One moment. Up the lemon juice content by a factor of 3 at least.
Okay.
That will help flush it out the rest of the way. It may have to go up to 10 times the amount, but somewhere between 3 and 10 times the lemon juice factor, it will help flush that out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
At various spots on this planet, there seem to exist gravitational and spatial anomalies. I'm talking about places like the Santa Cruz Mystery Spot, the Oregon Vortex.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you can tell us what this is about.
Well, we mentioned this to some degree a little while ago about the idea that these electromagnetic fields on your planet are always in fluctuation and sometimes can give different values to the geomagnetic field, the electromagnetic field, especially when they overlap or reinforce each other. Look at it as resonance. Look at it as standing waves. Look at it as waves reinforcing or canceling each other, and you'll have a better understanding of why some of these anomalies exist. Because there are certain balance points, shall we say, on your planet, being that it is a kind of a crystalline form, certain nexus points, whereby these overlaps may be reinforced in higher degrees of probability than other places. And thus then you may find that some of these anomalies will happen in those places more likely than others. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Are these anomalies centered at some particular point, say under the ground, or some point that could be located via an experiment?
Yes. Some of your electromagnetic sensors are somewhat sensitive enough to pinpoint these things.
And can you tell us a little bit more about specifically the phenomena that are occurring in these spots? There seems to be an anti-gravity phenomenon, and some people claim they're time shift phenomena as well.
Well, in a sense there are, but remember, time shift phenomenology isn't really anything more than shifting by a greater degree to a parallel reality that's coexistent. Because there really is no such thing as time travel, because everything exists at once. So even when you think you're going into your past, it isn't your past. It's simply another parallel reality that looks like your past.
Okay.
Does that answer the first part?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Yes, it does.
And again, the idea is that there will be shifts in all of these ways. These portals, some of them are stronger than others. Some of them are more connected to other dimensions than others. One very strong portal on your planet is that which you refer to as the Bermuda Triangle. The idea here is that it is a great overlap portal, multidimensional overlap portal. And many different kinds of things can find their way through it. Those that know how to utilize it, those that know how to set up a resonance field in order to utilize it, can navigate in it to different dimensions. Those that may simply have the experience of happening to match a certain resonant frequency within the overall chords or tones of that field may simply find themselves shifted to another dimension without knowing how they got there or how to get back. Some of this can sometimes seem like time displacement. Some of it can sometimes seem like anti-gravity, levitational displacement. Sometimes it can seem like a few other kinds of things as well.
I see. So you're saying it's a sort of dimensional shift that can appear to manifest in various ways.
Yes, because there are always dimensional overlaps. And it depends upon the resonance and the overlapping harmonics of the different kinds of energy fields that determines exactly how that portal is experienced. It's like a switching track in a sense. It's always fluctuating in terms of its direction, in terms of what it's connected to, in terms of what it's anchored to a great degree. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Right.
It's really more like music than anything else. There are places where everything harmonizes and there are places where things are discordant. It's sort of like that, although that's an oversimplified definition. And sometimes it will change because these things are always fluctuating. When you can map them and understand them, you can learn to use them navigationally or in a variety of ways. You could, by finding the right frequency in the Bermuda Triangle, create what might be kind of a crystalline looking glass device. This crystalline looking glass device, when pitched to the right frequency in that particular portal area, or a few other portals around your planet, would actually allow you to see images from parallel realities. including what you would think of as your past or your future, even though they are simultaneously concurrent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, one moment. There will be a number of overlapping frequencies that would be required to be infused into this crystalline form in order for it to function that way, in order for it to randomly key itself into the vibrational resonance patterns of that portal in such a manner as to be guided or directed in the way that we are speaking of. You can begin with the earth vibration, not only of 7.5 to 7.8 cycles per second, but also the vibration of C sharp. And if you begin to explore there and have sensitive enough equipment with the right constitution of crystal window, and maybe even what you would call the liquid crystal windows, so to speak, might be capable of doing this if you fluctuate them at the right frequency, you'll begin to see forms forming, shadows forming in these windows at the proper pitch, at the proper resonance, that will be indications of consciousness expressing itself in other dimensions. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Does this help you?
Yes. May I ask a related question?
Yes.
In Peru, there are various artifacts that appear to be gateways carved in blocks of solid stone.
Yes.
Can you tell us what these are about?
Well, there are different types. Some of them were to some degree what we're talking about, but in a different way. These gateways, when carved in a certain proportion, out of a certain mineral, contained a certain resonance that allowed people who knew how to match that frequency to be able to become what you would call clairvoyant, to see into other realities. Clairsentient. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
So in that sense, it was a similar idea, but it happened within the person, not within a device, other than the fact that the doorway itself surrounded them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
It does. May I ask, is there a particular modality that one could use to activate one of these devices?
If the device, you're talking about the doorways?
Yes.
If the device is still intact, or can be made to be intact, or a new device, a new doorway carved that contains all of the proper proportions and ratios, then again the idea of meditation in that space and also aligning with the gamma frequency can perhaps begin this process again. At the same time, there is another such device referred to in your language as the psychomantium. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not.
The psychomantium, in a sense, allows you to peer into the etheric realm of spirit, or to train you to become more sensitive to it, sitting in a room, perhaps a small room or a small space, with a mirror pointing at a blank wall so that you see nothing in the mirror at all but the blank wall. Not your reflection, not anything else. And having no light but a single candle. And then just gazing into the mirror. This is a form of scrying, a form of crystal gazing, but it is one that is profoundly connected to the vibrations within you that are connected to the spirit realm. So if you create the psychomantium in that sense, you can train yourself to see spirits in the mirror. That's another such permission slip device. Mm-hmm. All right?
All right, thank you.
Does this help you?
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias. Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good day to you too. I have a couple questions.
Yes.
One of them is related with today's topic, the parallelogram.
Yes.
After I heard your speech, your explanation, I thought I understood. Then I was at the table having lunch with another friend.
Yes.
And then I realized that I was more confused than before.
Oh, congratulations.
Welcome to the team.
Oh.
So I'm going to tell you what kind of understood, and please help me to understand better.
Or you could simply tell us what you're confused about.
Well, it works both ways.
All right.
Okay, good. What I understood is this, is some sort of a parallel life that works together and everything happened at the same time. And somehow we are at the center of it. And by the fact of focusing on something, we can shift that reality. And by that fact, instead of being parallel, then they intersect somewhere in the line.
I understand how you're describing this, but that doesn't negate the fact that there's still parallel realities. It's more like the idea that your consciousness shifts to another parallel reality. The consciousness itself is the intersection, not the parallel realities themselves.
Oh, that makes more sense. So
Yes,
then
it
the
does.
parallel part is not outside of us. It's more like, let's call it
The
inside of
structure
it.
never changes. Your perspective of it changes, and the perspective shift is the intersection between the parallel realities. Parallel realities themselves never intersect. They always are parallel.
So if following that thought, if I am living this kind of a parallel reality, I'm going to be living in a linear way the next, like 1 year from now, another parallel reality. So in both times, let's call it like that, in both times, I am living the same parallel reality.
No.
The same consciousness.
No. You're
Great.
not living the same parallel reality billions of times per second. You're shifting. Parallel reality, billions of times per second. That's what creates the side effect you call time and space, is that your consciousness is shifting through all those parallel realities, which are each frozen like a snapshot. There's no movement, no time, no space, no experience in any parallel reality. It's what you're doing by shifting your consciousness through a series of parallel realities that creates the idea of a parallel reality timeline. But you're actually going like this. Even though it seems like you're going like this, you're actually going like this.
That's the frame that I couldn't get. So the center of it is our consciousness.
Yes. And it averages out and creates a sense of continuity to give you a sense of linearity, but it's anything but linear. You're all over the map.
And how does it work when I change my physical reality to the non-physical reality? Am I still living the parallel?
There is still some degree of that, but not as much. There are certain factors that drop away that are no longer necessary. Thus, then, you can experience more parallel realities simultaneously.
So then the parallel reality is more related to this earth life rather than the ethereal life?
It doesn't have to be.
I know it doesn't have to be, but does it work like that?
It can, if that's your focus, yes.
So then I can be focused in this reality as well as in my non-physical reality. So then blending both of them, I'm going to be in both places at once, or
Well, you are in both places at once.
No, yeah, but when I realize when I don't exist anymore in this earthly life, so then I'm going to be just in one. I'm supposed to.
That's just your perspective. The body will always exist. The life will always exist because everything that exists always exists. You have to, again, look at this as frozen snapshots. If you take a photograph of yourself right now, and you put that photograph on a table.
Just like the lunch.
Yes. And then you take another photograph of yourself tomorrow and put that photograph on the table. Did the photograph from yesterday disappear? No, it's still on the table. All the photos exist at the same time. They don't go away. Ceasing to exist doesn't mean that the structure changes. What you're calling ceasing to exist is just changing your focus. But just because you've changed your focus to the non-physical photographs doesn't mean the physical photographs have gone away. They still exist. It's just that you're not focused through them anymore.
Interesting.
Make sense?
Now it makes more sense.
All right.
Way before. That's good. Thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome.
I have another question that
Yes.
it might not be related with this.
Oh, all right.
We might. So anyway,
We
I
will see.
heard many times the concept of being grounded, right? When we are thinking something and we're trying to figure out what to do, the first call is you gotta be grounded, you gotta be smart, you gotta take it easy, and things like that.
Oh, all right.
So that makes sense, right?
In some senses, yes.
All right. So kind of extrapolating this idea to the ethereal part, is it possible to have some sort of a ethereal grounding?
There always needs to be grounding so that you can bring the energy of your connection to the higher non-physical mind down to earth in order to have an experience, if that's where you want to focus it. Without the grounding part, you haven't made, in a sense, a connection. You haven't made a link. It's like electricity. If there is a short circuit, you're not going to have an effect. So you have to ground the wire and bring the energy through all the way through the physical material idea if that's where you want to experience the effect of it. But what you're doing is connecting and linking to the non-physical part, and you're, in a sense, having an experience that's a blending of the two. But you have to have the grounding side, otherwise it just remains an ethereal idea.
So then both groundings are connected. The earth life, the life that I'm living now,
yes,
gotta be grounded with the other part of me that is somewhere ethereal, non-physical, gotta be grounded. And by the fact of connecting or linking both of them, then the balance, at the end, I believe that is what is going to be, the balance in between both, call it both worlds, the earthy one and non-physical one,
yes,
tends to be balanced.
Yes.
Is that the whole concept?
Yes.
Kind of a complicated.
Not really, it's very simple. You have the higher mind, you have the physical mind, you have the template reality in the middle. When you allow yourself to function as a whole person, you are in balance with the physical mind and the higher mind, using the template level reality to shift yourself in the direction of your highest joy.
That sounds great. So
it's very simple.
So that means when I am in this earthly life, or whoever, I'm going to call it about myself.
Yes, yes, yes.
Not so grounded, this is a question, am I producing something on my non-physical part that is also needs some ethereal grounding?
No. The definition of the higher mind is that it is already stable unto itself. It's giving guidance to the physical mind to stabilize it, to allow it to experience what it needs to experience in a certain way. Look at this analogy. The analogy we've often give of a diver diving into the ocean. Mm-hmm. When you're standing on the boat, you're the higher mind. Now you want to project down into physical reality. So you put on the diving mask, you put on the wetsuit, you put on the air tanks, you put on the flippers. You go diving into the ocean. You dive into physical reality. You need the physical mind, the ego structure, the mask, in order to see clearly in that reality. And thus then you have grounded your experience as a higher mind in that reality. But the idea is to do it in a balanced way. You don't expect that diving mask to do anything but paint a clear picture for you. You don't give it any other tasks to do. You don't tell the mask to breathe for you. You don't tell the mask to push you through the water. That's the job of other things. So just letting the mask be the mask lets the mask do its job. And if the mask does its job, you have a very clear view under the ocean of all the fish that you would like to see. When you are done with that, you go back up to the boat, you take the mask off, you take the wetsuit off. That's like the idea of dying. You have no need anymore for that physical mind, but you still have the higher mind, which is, in a sense, from that perspective now, your whole identity. But because the higher mind has given itself the challenge, shall we say, the experience, the theme of exploration, to have this physical incarnation experience, it has created a duality within itself of the version of it that's on the boat and the version of it that's underwater. But both are there at the same time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense.
All right.
And I will hear the recordings to make sure that it's going to be there forever.
All right. That's your grounding way of balancing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's easy to forget.
If you say so. Remember, that's just a belief that it's easy to forget. When you know something to be true, you never forget it, because knowing and action are synonymous. It becomes part of your behavior. It becomes part of your makeup. What you know to be true, you just do. You don't have to think about it. I ask you to walk across the room. You just walk across the room because you know you can. You don't go, well, let's see. I'm going to think, now, can I walk across? Well, I don't know if I believe I can walk across the... Well, let me think about that. No, you just do it because you know you can do it. That's the idea of the balance point. The higher mind and the physical mind in balance is what you know to be true, you just do. It's one thing, it's one act. Inseparable.
Yeah, I got that one right.
Oh, all right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no more chance for another question. Did they take you by, or
no
did
more
I have chance? Yeah, no more chance to ask you another simple question.
Are we rolling dice? Are you flipping a coin?
Sometimes I am.
Would you like to take a coin out and flip it?
I would like to ask the question.
Oh, well, all right. Then you have taken it out of the realm of chance.
That means yes?
That means yes.
Okay, good. This is out of this context. I had some sort of, I would have put it in these words, some sort of a dream and if it's and I'm not so expert in colors and things like that, but in that particular dream,
Yes.
I saw some sort of a purple rays or lights, big beams of color,
Yes.
projecting out of let's call it in the space or somewhere.
Yes.
And they were kind of embracing with the red and making some sort of a swirls in the black space.
Yes.
And at the same time, in the middle of it, some white light joined to it.
Yes.
And it's kind of a confusing dream. And in the middle of it, I saw more like the birth of the planet.
Yes.
And it was the blending of not exactly, the color was the projection of the huge, giant amount of energy.
Yes.
And the result of it was the planet.
Yes.
I know it was a dream, but
Well, the
that
dream
can be
is simply
possible.
a memory of an experience on another level. So what you were experiencing was what you might call the etheric level and the causal level. The idea that everything that happens in physical reality has to have an energy version first, an energy template first. So you were looking at the pure raw energy states, the vibrational states that ultimately manifested in the physical template of your physical reality, of the planet.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. Pleasant dreams. All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, all right. Thank you. We would like to begin this transmission by saying we were going to talk about self-worth, but we're not sure we're worthy enough to talk about that. So you see what happens when you are in that state of being, of feeling that you lack self-worth. You deprive others of what you have to give. You're not giving the gifts that you were meant to give in your world, that others are waiting to receive from you. As we have said many times, if there is something that excites you, something that you have to give, some way of expressing your true self, there will always be someone waiting to receive that from you. And by feeling or believing that you are not worthy, not deserving of acting on your passion, you are actually holding back those things that others are waiting to receive, that they may need in their lives. Each and every one of you has something to give, has something of benefit, of service to others, that is simply representative of nothing more complicated than being your true self and expressing that truth in whatever way, shape, or form excites you the most, is most representative of your peace, your balance, your passion, your joy. Holding back on that also then allows you to feel diminished, devalued. The idea, of course, of believing that you are unworthy, as we have said from time to time, is proven to be false by the fact of your existence. For again, creation does not make mistakes, and if you were truly unworthy, you would not exist. So if you exist, which you do, or you wouldn't be hearing this, then creation must need you to. You must be that important, or all that is couldn't be all that it is, or all that it could be without you. So you are worthy on the most basic level by the fact of your existence itself. And any time that you buy into the idea that you are not worthy of your life, not worthy to be who you truly are, who you know yourself to be, who you prefer to be, not worthy, not deserving to live your dreams, then you are engaging, as we have said, in an argument with creation that you will never win, because you will never cease to exist. That is simply not possible. Existence is your basic quality, to be. And therefore, that basic worthiness, if you can understand that from that level, can begin to filter into the rest of your life and all the expressions of your true self that are reflective of your natural existence, of who you are as the unique individual you have been created to be. But if you buy into the idea of lack of self-worth, there are many different kinds of symptoms that will happen, many different kinds of expressions that will come from that negative belief about yourself. First and foremost, of course, the ones that seem most obvious is that you can experience what you call depression, which is again the negative view of what the natural state is, which is simply compression, which means you withdraw into the center of your being where you know the answers lie when you cannot find them outside. That's a natural experience. But if you negate it, if you give it a negative definition, then it becomes the experience of depression, as if something is wrong about going within. If you allow it to be the natural experience of compression, you will simply find the answers you seek. You will then emerge having redefined yourself as a new person. But again, buying into lack of self-worth may allow you to experience this as depression. And of course, people in that state can experience other side effects, not only mentally, emotionally, such as suicidal thoughts, but the idea also of physically causing dis-ease within yourselves, to manifest the idea of how you see yourself, to create a reflection in the outer reality, the physical reality, representation and symbol of how you see yourself energetically, spiritually. However, the idea is that you will always generally find that most people, even with the idea of lack of self-worth as a belief system, will attempt in some way, shape, or form to validate themselves. The only difference will be that if you actually are holding on to a belief that you lack worth, you will attempt all that validation outwardly instead of inwardly. You will not know how to validate yourself on your own. So you will seek it, if you seek it at all, through the idea of an exterior expression. This kind of insecurity about yourself leads to a polarized expression of the ego. And in fact, those that are the most insecure, the most connected to the concept of lack of self-worth, will express their ego in a very exaggerated way to counterbalance and make up for the fact that they don't actually believe they're worthy. So they will attempt to express worthiness through the aggrandizement and amplification and blowing up of their ego, and express themselves in a very egotistical, very often narcissistic way. This should be the first clue that they really don't have self-value in mind, because they are attempting to create an expression of it, but it's, in a sense, an act. And they don't really believe in what they are saying, in what they are doing, in what they are expressing. They just don't want anyone else to know that they feel worthless. So they will put on a front, and they will seek, many times, again, as a symptom that you can recognize in life, the idea of outside validation over and over and over again, requiring quite often the idea of others to validate them, because they do not spend the time to validate themselves. So they will, in the sense, become very needy. Very often will be one of the strong symptoms, requiring constant validation from those around them, since they will not give it to themselves. This will, of course, create secondary negative effects, in any form of relationship that they may find themselves in, because they will always be only relying on others to create the sense of worth that they simply deny themselves. So you can look for these symptoms and understand that it is coming from a place where they do not feel valued and do not know how to give themselves the idea of self-valuation, self-appreciation, to the degree that if they don't get it from others, if they don't, in some sense, insist on it from the outer reflection, they will feel empty, bereft, abandoned. But then another side effect of that, because they will awesomely be in denial of the idea that they are lacking worth, because they don't want to face that, is they will project onto others the idea that they are being abandoned, not being supported, not being valued by others, because they cannot face the fact that they are not valuing themselves because they believe themselves not to be worthy of value. But they are in denial of the fact that they are doing that to themselves, so they will always project it on others who are not then willing to do it for them. These are symptoms as well of that self-devaluation, that lack of self-worth as a belief. So look for these symptoms and understand with compassion that such people may or may not be willing to receive new tools, new understandings of how they can know that they are valuable, know that they are worthy, know that they belong in creation, and begin to see themselves in a way where they don't require constant reminders from those around them of how valuable they are, constant reassurance from those around them that they are worthy. For that will not be a reflection that can last a long time. For others will sense that it is coming from a place of non-belief in what those people are saying to them. So even when someone might say, yes, you are worthy, yes, you have value, yes, I recognize these things about you, because they are in denial of it within themselves, they may not actually even buy it from other people, though they may act like they do, or act like they really need it, but they may not really still believe it. And thus they create a downward spiral of negativity that acts in many ways like what you would call a black hole in space, sucking up all the light, all the benefit, all the value they are given from others, to the point where others begin to realize that they cannot give them enough value. They cannot, in any way, shape, or form, validate them enough. And therefore, they recognize that since all of that reflection is really just disappearing within that person and never actually being put to use in the sense of strengthening that person's ability to know that they are worthy, know that they are valuable, the outside reflection will eventually usually stop. And it will then thrust the person devaluing themselves into an even deeper downward spiral that can again lead to the concepts of depression, senses of abandonment, suicidal thoughts, and all of those things that go with not being able to support the self, not knowing how to believe what others are telling them, and needing others to do it because they will not do it for themselves. So take note in your lives, in relationships, when individuals are removing the platform from under their own feet, not able in their own minds to really stand, not able to give themselves the valuation that they truly need, constantly asking for recognition for everything that they may do, instead of giving themselves the recognition in a humble way and being of service to others. Allow yourselves more awareness, more conscious perception, and by all means, should you come across individuals devaluing themselves in that way, by all means share with them that they do not have to do so. By all means share with them that there are tools by which, and ideas and beliefs by which they can know that they are valuable, know that they are worthy. But also allow yourselves to recognize that unconditional love is not about continuing to support a vibration that is incompatible with your preference beyond a certain point. The most unconditionally loving thing you can do sometimes is to demonstrate the consequence of another person's choice. And it may not be what they prefer, but it may be what they're telling you needs to happen. Because if you do not give them a reflection of the consequence of what they are choosing for themselves, you give them no opportunity to change, no reason to change. It doesn't mean they will change, but at least give them a reason to. For if they want to remain in a relationship with you, by being given a clear reflection of the consequence of constantly devaluing themselves and constantly needing others to validate them, by showing them that you can no longer do so because it's actually not in their best interests for you to continue to support the negative behavior, you at least give them an opportunity to recognize that they may need to change if they wish to maintain the relationship with the real you and not with who they actually insist that you must be, because that is not being in a relationship with who you really are. So we would always encourage you not to reinforce the negativity, but to let them know there is always an opportunity to know how valuable they are, how worthy they are, and to give themselves what they need. And the irony and the paradox in this is that when a person does, in fact, humbly value themselves, they will often find that others will value them quite often. And they will see the reflections of their self-valuation in your reality and in their reality. So, use the power of the paradox to allow them to know that what they truly need will be given to them, ironically, when they don't need it, in a needy way. Because everyone needs validation. Everyone needs to know they are worthy and deserving. Everyone needs to know that. But the point is to know that by the fact of your existence, you are worthy, you are validated, you are deserving. And when you can stand in that certainty and stand in that awareness and stand in that knowingness, you will get the reflections that you need of that worthiness, of that validity. It will simply be the reflection of the energy you're giving off. Because when you shine, the mirror has something to reflect back. But when, like a black hole, you suck in all the light, there is nothing that can be reflected to you because you're giving nothing off that is representative of that validity, of that worthiness. Does this make sense to you? All right. So, just bear it in mind, keep it in mind, pay attention. Let your senses be aware of when you are seeing these symptoms. Do your best to assist, but not at the expense of your own worthiness. For that is never helpful nor loving to anyone. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea, this point of view, with you at this time. And in return for the gift you are all giving to us in allowing us to experience all of you, I ask, in what way may we now be of service to you? You may begin with your questions and sharings if you wish.
Hello.
And to you, good day. Oh, let us say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. First and foremost, we will once again thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission this day of your time. Every single time you offer us an opportunity to interact with each and every one of you, it is a gift for us. So we thank you for that sharing, for that gift. In this transmission, which we have titled The 7 Neutral Needs, we would like to begin this way. Now, many people on your planet have discussed with us that when they find themselves in certain circumstances, they do not necessarily know the difference between what it is they need in life and what it is that they often say that they want in life. There is a big difference between the idea of the energy of what you need and what you may want. Now, sometimes they might coincide if you get lucky. But the idea is that many times what you want might often be the product of what you've been taught to believe you need that may not actually be what you really need in life. And what you want can sometimes, because of those belief systems that might be either fear-based or negative, be something that the negative ego thinks it needs to be in control of, it needs to attract into your life in order for your life to be fulfilled. But the thing to understand is that life works automatically when you allow it to. And everything you truly need will come to you in perfect timing. It's an automatic mechanism. The idea of wanting something, we understand that the way you mean it, we understand that the way you often use it, but when you put too much emphasis behind it as being something that must happen in the way you have envisioned it happening, very often you're actually limiting yourself and limiting the way it could happen much greater than you imagine. Because the physical mind, as we have said, is limited in its way of imagining things. The higher mind, in a sense, can imagine more. So when the physical mind seeks to control and says, well, I want this, and if this doesn't happen, then something must be wrong, then you are actually closing the doors through which the higher mind could give you something better than the physical mind was capable of imagining, and thus you are actually shortchanging yourselves. But the idea also to remember is that every single thing is its own state of being. And the idea of wanting something is exactly that. It is a state of wanting. It is not a state of having. So if you insist on wanting, you're going to remain in a state of wanting, and you're not actually going to be able to have, to really manifest, to experience the focus of your wanting, because all you're doing is saying you want it, and therefore you will continue to do nothing but stay in a state of wanting it, and it will never arrive. That's another reason to understand that wanting is not necessarily in your best interest, but needing is. Now, the idea is that when you again find yourself in circumstances and you might find yourself being confused about what's going on and what do I really need here to really allow myself to move forward in life, to really act on my passion to the best of my ability, with no insistence on an outcome. What do I really need in life to be who I really am, to allow my life to grow, to expand in the most joyful possible way? What do I really need? So in this transmission, we have broken it down for you to the 7 basic needs. Now, we call them the neutral needs because these are the basic things you need to survive in your life. The idea is not so much that you have to assign a meaning to them, which is again why we call them neutral. They function automatically in a certain way by themselves, although you can certainly color them with your belief system and imbue them with different meanings and different emotions and different definitions and so forth. But by themselves, they are just the basic fundamental needs that are required for you to exist in your physical reality experience. And anytime you find yourself caught up in any kind of circumstance where you find yourself wondering what kind of state of being is really most beneficial for you to be in, you can always use these 7 neutral needs to go back to a ground state, back to a fundamental state, and start again from zero, start again from scratch, and recognize that in many circumstances, you really are getting what you need. And by focusing on the 7 neutral needs, it can also aid and assist you in understanding the difference between what you may really need in that moment as opposed to what you are saying you want in that moment. And it can act as a clarifying system for you. Now, the 7 neutral needs, shall we say, have different time frames associated to them, because they are things you really do need to experience your physical reality. You will find that some of them you need all the time. Some of them can take weeks before you realize you need it. Some of them can take years before you realize you need it, but you really need them all. The idea is that without them, you will either quickly or slowly die. That's how you know they are actually fundamental needs. The ones that take years, in a sense, can seem misleading because you might feel, well, I'm still fine, I'm still breathing, I'm still moving along. And so you can fool yourself into thinking you don't need it, or that you are altering it in a way that is not really in alignment with the need. But nevertheless, all we're saying is the difference between the needs that are quick and the needs that take longer is just that you either die quickly or you die slowly over time. And when we say die, we are also talking about the idea of your energy, your spirit, your willingness to live, your feeling that you belong, your feeling that you fit, your feeling that you are empowered. These things, with negative beliefs, can over time wither, in a sense, and appear to die, causing you to slowly die over time, when you could be living a more vibrant life, a more energetic life. So, what are the 7 neutral needs? Thank you. We're glad you asked. In order of how long they take to kill you, if you don't do them, we start with, you need air. If you don't have air, you will be dead pretty soon. Within a matter of minutes. So that's the quickest one. You need air to live in your physical reality. Next, you need water to live in your physical reality. Without water, you will probably die in about a week. So that's a little longer. Next, now, many of you may be thinking, well, next, I need food. That's not the next thing. Next, you need sleep. You need to dream. You need to reconnect to spirit. That's what sleeping is for. That's what dreaming is about. You need to re-energize your physical battery. Without sleep, you will only last about 11 days. And then you will die. And sleep a lot longer than you intended to. Next is food. You need food in general. Now, please understand, before we go on, of course, there are always some exceptions. There are people who are of a state where they can be breatharians and so on and so forth, and they may seem to not need food for longer periods of time. I'm not talking about the exceptions. I'm talking about the general populace on your planet. So, in general, you need sustenance of some form, or you will find in about 2 to 3 weeks you will start to die. Now, what's next? Those are the 4 main ones that happen pretty rapidly. Now we enter a new phase where things can take months or years. So, what is next is you need some form of shelter. Now, when we say shelter, we don't necessarily mean it has to be a building or a house. Your environment can be your shelter if it is the kind of environment in which you can thrive. So, for instance, people on your planet who might live on a tropical isle where the weather is always fine will find that that will be shelter enough, and they won't necessarily have to live in a dwelling in the classical sense. But you need some form of shelter, even if it is simply your environment that is beneficial to you. That is still a shelter, the shelter of nature, the shelter of earth that is in accord and in alignment with the human form to sustain it. Next, you need some form of connection, relationship, in some way. I understand that sometimes people may be on journeys where they seem to spend a long time alone. But that doesn't mean they're not in a relationship. The relationship doesn't have to be with other human beings. It can be with animals, it can be with trees, it can be with spirit, it can be with a rock, it can be with God, but it's a relationship. You have some sense of connection to life, connection to nature, connection to existence and spirit, connection to your essence and your being. You have a relationship with all that is in some form of expression. Without that, again, it may take years, but you will slowly die without that connection. Which brings you back to the idea of sleep, because again, that's what the sleep is for, to make that connection. Now, as we have said, on our world, we no longer eat, we no longer sleep, because we are always connected, we are always sustained just by the energy of the universe. We have evolved to that point, and eventually you will too. But right now, again, as a generality, you will find that most of you need some form of relationship, some form of connection, some form of exchange with consciousness, some form of reflection that allows you to get in touch with the things you need to be more of who you are, the things you need to grow. This is a true need. The final need is what you might call creative expression. In other words, when you allow yourself to be who you are, it must be expressed. This is where acting on your passion falls in. This is where you express the aspect of creation that you are. You express the connections that you've made. You express the energy that has sustained you in life. So you need some form of personal, creative expression that is unique to you, that allows you to know, that allows you to shout that you are alive, that allows you to shine, that allows your spirit to be counted, to be seen, to be known, to be felt, to be understood. Those are the 7 neutral needs. And again, the idea of some of the later ones, like not expressing yourself creatively, not expressing, not stating who you are in some way, shape, or form by following your passion, can take years to kill you if you're not doing it. But you will slowly be dying. Now, again, there may be moments when you go through phases where you're not doing it. That's fine, because, again, those phases may be there to teach you something. As long as you understand that one of the tools in the kit of following your passion is the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything you might be holding on to in your unconscious mind that is out of alignment with your truth, that is out of alignment with what you need, and you allow yourself to address it, then that's the point. That's the purpose of having that moment of discovering something that is not your excitement in that moment, so that you can let it go and add its energy to your overall excitement and express yourself in grander ways. The idea, therefore, paradoxically, of the reflective mirror, while you're following your excitement, revealing something to you that is not part of your excitement, is part of your excitement. To find out what doesn't excite you is part of your excitement, because when something manifests in your life that might be representative of what you don't prefer, you can use that in a positive way by recognizing that it might be there as a clarifying point to show you what you don't prefer, much more clearly so that you can see what you do prefer by contrast much more clearly. That's how to use what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer. So again, the expression of your truth, the expression of your being by following your passion to the best you're able, with no insistence on a particular outcome because you really don't know what's supposed to happen. You may think you do, but that's where you go back to the negative ego. That's where you go back to the idea that the ego thinks it has to control everything. That's where you go by the idea of wanting. I want this to happen. This has to happen. It's really got to happen or something is wrong. Something went wrong somewhere. I'm off my path. No. You cannot be off your path. You are your path. The only way you can experience as if you're off your path is by assuming that something that has happened in your life cannot possibly be there for a positive reason. Remember, remember, remember. This is what you need to remember. It doesn't matter what happens. It only matters what you do with what happens. That's the key. That's the secret. But when you find yourself in a puzzle, in a conundrum, when you feel like you have forgotten, just go back to the 7 neutral needs. Let's see. I'm still breathing. I'm doing pretty good. I've got number 1 on the checklist checked off. Got that down pat. I need some water. Oh, all right. I might be a little thirsty, might be a little dehydrated. All right, glug, glug, glug. Check that off your list. I need to get some sleep. I'm feeling really tired. Why am I tired? I'm exhausted because I've been trying to be someone I'm not, which is the most tiring thing you can do. So I am now excited about resting. Rest, regenerate, connect, re-energize your batteries. Now, perhaps, when you wake up, you are hungry. Get some food. Put it in your body. Whatever it may be that works for you. Listen to your body consciousness. Listen to your intuition. You don't have to force yourself to be more spiritual. Yes, it's important to lighten up, but when your energy is on a higher frequency, you will automatically lose the urge to eat certain things that might have a heavier energy. There is no reason to force yourself there, which is an oxymoron, and it doesn't work anyway. Listen to your body consciousness. It knows what you need, and it knows what you don't need. So, pay attention to that. Then, all right, got that all checked off, those first 4 biggies. And now, some shelter. The idea of, are you in the environment that excites you? Because remember, when we talk about doing what excites you the most and following your passion and acting on it, it has to be a complete thing, a holistic thing. Doing what excites you, in the way it excites you, how it excites you, where it excites you, with whom it excites you, will automatically allow your synchronicity to lead you to the place that is most representative, that will bring you the form of shelter or environment that you need to allow you to be who you really are and continue to grow. And also the idea of connection. It will again synchronistically bring into your life all those of whatever type of being that really is most representative of the connections you need to make in order to discover more relationship, more about yourself, more reflectivity, more information that you might need to add to your understanding of your being and your theme of exploration in this life and help you grow and expand. And then finally, yes, the expression of who and what you are. Your purpose in life is to be you as best as you possibly can. That's your purpose. The expression of your purpose will be as different as there are as many people, because that's just an expression of your purpose. Your passion is the expression of your purpose. But the vibration, the frequency of your passion is who you actually are, is your frequency of existence, is your essential self. So expressing yourself, acting on your passion to the best you're able with no insistence, so you don't get caught up again in that idea of wanting, which isn't necessarily aligned with what you truly need. And if you can check all those off, you're doing pretty good. You're really doing all you need to do. You're really doing the best you can. And you can start relaxing into the idea that life works automatically. You can start allowing synchronicity to work for you in positive ways rather than negative ways. Because remember, synchronicity is always working. Always. It never stops. But there is negative synchronicity. And when you buy into negative beliefs, fear-based beliefs, then you are feeding the machine with negative energy, and it can only produce negative synchronicity and allow the things to happen or not happen that will continue to perpetuate the idea of the downward spiral of negative synchronicity. But when you feed it the positive energy and stay in the positive vibratory state, no matter what's going on, no matter how it looks, you are feeding the machine with the positive energy that will allow you to experience synchronicity in the positive way. This is just physics. What you put out is what you get back. Because physical reality isn't real. It's just a mirror. It's just a projection of your consciousness. So, allow yourselves to always go back to those neutral places. Allow yourself to recognize that you have what you need. And if you're going to find yourself wanting, then at least want what you need. And nothing else. Because what else do you need but what you truly need? You already come in with everything you need. It's not always manifest. You don't always see it right away because there is a timing to the unfolding and the appearance of these things. But all that timing is baked in. It's there, right here with you. You don't have to force it. It will happen in perfect timing. That's the way it's designed. That's the way it's structured. So remember, many people on your planet talk about the idea of, well, surrender to it. Surrender to the flow. And many people, because of the way you've been taught to believe things, think, oh, surrender. Well, that means I'm giving up control. No. Surrender is simply giving over to the control you already have built in. Surrender is giving up on thinking that the ego has to control everything. All the ego has to do is keep you focused in your physical experience and go along for the ride. That's all it's designed to do. That's all it needs to do. Don't burden the ego with more than it was designed to handle. Otherwise, it starts getting a little bit crotchety. And it turns into the negative ego. Oh, you want me to handle that? Oh, okay. Oh, wait, I have to have this too? Oh, all right, now I have to make that happen? Oh, I'm beginning not to like you very much. So I'm going to start playing some dirty tricks on you, and I'm going to make you think that you need to have this when it's just a want. See if you like it when I overburden you with the things you've overburdened me with. Yes, the ego knows how to play that game. So let the ego do its job of simply experiencing your life, allowing you to have the focus to experience a physical reality. Because remember, that focus is all it is. It's just an imposition on yourself of a particular point of view that allows you to experience something called physical reality as if it was real. It's not. Your natural state is non-physical, so to speak. Your natural state is spirit. You never leave spirit, ever. You're just dreaming that you have left spirit. You are having a dream in spirit that you're not in spirit. That's what physical reality is. It's just a focus. In the same way that when you go to sleep and you have a dream, and it seems very real, and then you wake up and you go, oh, well, no matter how real that felt, this is who I really am. Well, no, not really. This is actually the dream. You've just gone to sleep. And when you go to sleep at night and you dream, that's when you actually have woken up. Because you are more of yourself in that state, more connected, more aware to your spiritual essence. That's why time doesn't make sense in dreams, because in the spirit realm, time is that malleable, that flexible. It doesn't really exist in the same way, because it's just part of your dream that it exists. Time is just a side effect of your consciousness, experiencing things in a certain way so you can have the experience you call physical reality, which is just a dream within your consciousness. Is this making some sense? All right. Then, at this time, we will thank you for allowing us to share these ideas with you. And I would like to then return the gift you have given us by asking, in what way now may we be of service to you? If you wish to begin with your comments and questions, you may do so